All right, human body systems. I'm just going to talk through what our plan is for December 11th and December 14th, Friday and the Monday. We are going to finish up range of motion activity in class. This range of motion, we're going to go through these terms and go through the different motions. We'll talk about the goniometer. I may have you do a little bit of an activity with the goniometer in class where you try to practice using that and doing some measurement, and then be able to answer these. So this is pretty much on. It'll be done in class. You shouldn't have too much trouble with that. That's due Monday. I didn't originally have it due for the 11th by making you do the 14th. So you have a little bit more time if you have not started on that yet. But you will work a lot on that in class. I don't think you'll have any trouble getting that done during class time if you're here. Now, the next thing that we're going to work with is now getting into muscles. So think about what we talked so far. We talked about joints, and joints allow for the movement because if we don't have joints, we can't move bones around each other. But the muscles are what ultimately pull on the bones. And I say pull. Muscles never, ever push. They only pull. All right. So muscles are pulling structures, not pushing structures. And so you have to think about that. If you're going to move something, move a part of the body, move a bone, you have to have muscles pulling from both sides. So muscles always come in pairs. And that's one of the things you're going to look at. So I'm going to have you start exploring the rules. There's 6 rules we're going to talk about related to muscles. When you talk about like the naming of the muscles, how the muscles are built, structure, and kind of general rules about all muscles. We are going to spend a considerable amount of time this last week on the days that you're here building on some things on our mannequins. We're going to go back and build the urinary system, and we're also going to build a muscle, the brachialis muscle. Because when we come back after break, we're going to have another building project on that. So I will spend quite a bit of time working with the clay this week. So we have to discuss who gets your mannequin if you're not continuing, or if you're with someone who didn't continue the course. How we'll figure that out. But anyway, so activity 421. I'll go back to the original here in courses in 421 muscle rules. All right, and in the class, here's the assignment, muscle rules. All right, and so here is what that document looks like. And overview of the muscles and contraction, and then you're going to explore the 3 types of skeletal muscle. The 3 types of muscle tissue: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. So if I go back here to the assignment, you see a little bit of background information. And then you see types of muscle tissue, and it gives some details, some basic definitions, but you'll need to do some research also on this as well. Now, I did instruct you guys, I think in the document, it instructs you to go to the distance learning section because there's a little bit more information. We're probably not going to do the slide viewing in here. So you're going to instead view the slide pictures on here. So you have the same intro, but here are those slide images. So for each of them, you're going to describe where it's located in the body, what the function is or functions are in the body, and then histology. And histology is basically what does it look like in a microscope. And it should differentiate between the 3. So you should see a difference between 3. We know that form means function. So the form, the structure of something is going to relate directly to its function, right? If you look at the shape of a hammer, if a hammer wasn't shaped the way it was, it would not be a very good hammer, right? And that's why it's good at doing what it does, because of its shape. Likewise, muscles have a certain structure to them that allow them to work. Some of that structure, if it's a voluntary muscle, is more helpful, or if it's an involuntary muscle, it can be more helpful in that way. All right. And so you see like some pictures here, animations of them. But if you go into the curriculum, you can see these images here. So you're going to sketch out, I'd prefer you to sketch out the more detailed version. So these are more zoomed out. These are more zoomed in. And if you click on the image, it actually zooms it out a lot. So sketch those out. You see all these little cells here? Those are nuclei. All right. You can see the arrangement of those cells. Skeletal muscle. You can see the arrangement is pretty similar to the smooth muscle. Cardiac muscle, there's more space in between those muscles. But you can see the arrangement. Once again, you're seeing these layers where there's muscle cells and muscle cells and muscle cells stacked on each other. If you think about it, muscles have to be working in the same direction, doing the same pulling. So they're like rope. They're almost like rope fibers. Fibers of rope that are going to allow this pulling to happen. Right? They're going to pull on whatever they're attached to, and they tend to be attached to bones in the case of skeletal muscle. All right. Then you'll go through and answer a few more questions about muscles. Then muscle structure. There's a drawing that you'll do, and do this drawing to the best of your ability. If you click on the menu here, you can go to it, open this in a new tab, and see a bigger version of this if you want to draw it in more detail. All right. And so here you can see the bone. You can rotate it, and there's a way to pan as well. My head's kind of in the way, but switch to pan mode, and you can kind of go over here and look at it that way and zoom out. You can kind of see the shape. Right? Switch off of that and rotate it again. But here's the basic muscle structure, and we will talk about this. We're going to do an activity with Twizzlers, because bundle those together, and then of course eat them. But you can see the muscle fiber and how that works. And it goes all the way down to myofibril, which is the most basic. Then you have these layers, what's called endomysium, epimysium, and paramysium. And those are the different layers or kind of protective layers that go kind of bundle together. So essentially muscle cells are working as these fibers, these like myofibrils, but then those myofibrils are making up a muscle fiber. And those muscle fibers make up a thing called a fascicle. And a fascicle makes up an entire muscle. All right. So it's small units working together to make a larger effect. It's kind of like a bunch of, if you think about people who are rowing, they're all pull. Each of these muscle cells is contracting at the cellular level, but that cellular level contraction is causing a macroscopic effect and is going to cause this contraction to happen. So you're going to make that drawing with the labels of only the 7 things that are in the activity. And if you look here, those 7: endomysium, epimysium, paramysium, all the mesiums, fascicle, tendon, muscle cellular fiber, and myofibril. All right, so label those in the drawing. You may use some color to differentiate things. And then muscle rules, as I talked about before. That's the name of the section. You're going to record the 6 muscle rules. If you scroll through here, you'll see muscle rule 1. Scroll down. This is an activity you're not going to do with the biodigital thing. So, and then muscle rule 2, and so on. So record all 6 of those muscles. And there's some little animations and things that you can look at as you go. And we'll discuss these in class probably on Tuesday, Wednesday. All right. And then finally, muscle names. All right. And just kind of one of the things is that you see muscles contract and they pull. Here's what I was talking about with that. You look at the biceps muscle. When the biceps contract, the triceps relax. And both of those are responsible for causing this elbow to be able to hinge, okay, or that hinge joint to be able to work correctly, all right? And so bicep contracts, bicep is shortening, it's pulling this way. Well, in order to get the arm to go back, this bicep muscle is not pushing. Instead, the triceps muscle is pulling. And so it's sort of a string here, and I'm pulling it backwards, right? So pulling it here, pulling it here, pulling and pulling, right? And so that is essentially an example where we're looking at how muscles always occur in pairs, which is one of the rules as well. You have to have, well, in this case, it's a flexor muscle and an extensor muscle. Flexor, extensor, right? So that's just an example of that. You see that muscles only pull. So when this one contracts, then the biceps relaxes. All right, and finally, muscle names. Do some research. I did the first one for you as an example. Some of these you're given some muscle names, and you have to be able to describe where the name came from. So there's some similarities in them, but you have to figure out why they are. So for instance, why they're named what they are. Trapezius and rhomboid minor, they're classified by shape. Trapezius, trapezoid. Rhomboid, rhombus, because that's what they're shaped like. And gluteus maximus versus gluteus minimus. What would that be classified by? I'll wait for you to guess. Yes, you're correct. Size. Yes, I know that's what you answered. So these be classified by size, right? The maximus is larger, the minimus is smaller. So kind of go through that um, and fill it out, and then you will have a paper copy of it that you will get in class Friday, Monday. So this won't be due though until this 16th Wednesday. All right. So, and this may be a good chance this will be our last paper, our last assignment before break. Or I want you guys have time to get caught up on things, and I have the test, and then also the mannequin builds and a couple little in-class activities that we'll be doing as well. So that is all. If you have questions, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to answer those. And feel free to also communicate with each other and help each other out on these things. So I will see you later. Thanks.